When gift giving is your love language, what do you do when it's your birthday? Today, this is a special birthday episode. We don't always release episodes on Friday, but when we do, it is a special occasion, and it is my birthday today. I am so honored and excited to share it with you. I wanted to find a way to share it, and I love this episode so much, and it was scheduled for way later on in the year, and I said, no, we need to bring this out as a special birthday episode because it is all about the embodiment, the complete neurological acceptance of who your most sovereign self is. And every year, every birthday, every day, quite frankly, is an opportunity to step into that, to embody it on a whole new level, and to show up as she or he would, your most sovereign self. And I am so excited to be here with you, to share it with you on my birthday. And it is my birthday wish that we each rise into another level of claiming our power, of building and creating a body and a business and a life that rules. And those are not just taglines for me. That is a way of living. It's a lifestyle of choosing to become the conscious creator and the leader for that which you desire to manifest into this world. And this world needs it. This world needs you operating as your most sovereign and your best self. And so I hope this podcast serves you. I hope you love this gift. And I am so honored to share this with you on my birthday. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. I know I will. And I thank you so much in advance for another year around the sun with you, and for you sharing this episode with more and more people, and for this podcast growing. I am so honored and grateful. We could not do this without you. And I love you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of my world and for enriching my life so much over these past few years. I am so honored to be here with you, and I look forward to continuing to share with you all the good stuff that helps you and myself, because we're all helping each other here, rise into our most sovereign self, to becoming the conscious leaders, the conscious creators of our life and of our world, and leaving that impact and that ripple effect that we have the power to do. And with that, I give you our episode on embodying your most sovereign self. Welcome to the Crown Yourself podcast, where together we build your empire and transform your subconscious stories about what's possible for your business, body, and life. I'm your host, Kimberly Spencer, founder of CrownYourself.com, and I'm a master mindset coach, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, known to my clients as a game changer. Each week, you get the conscious leadership strategies you need to help you reign with courage, clarity, and confidence so that you too can make the income and impact you deserve. Imagine this podcast as your royal invitation to step into your full potential and reign in your divine purpose. Your sovereignty starts here, and your reign is now. Hello, my fellow sovereigns, and welcome back to another episode of the Crown Yourself podcast. I am Kimberly Spencer. I am so excited to be here with you today because we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, which means that it will be challenging, possibly, to maybe some of your belief systems. But just know that it is not you. It is your belief system. I think as a society, we've gotten so indoctrinated with this belief that our beliefs are us. No, your beliefs are a strategy. Your beliefs are a strategy of what's worked to this point. Like I said in my TED Talk, I used to believe that I was broken, damaged, and a victim. Don't believe that anymore. That belief served me for a time. The belief of being really, really ridiculously hard on myself, that belief served me for a time. It's, to be honest, one that I'm still working through at this next level. I think that's going to be my next evolution of working through that one. But I used to be really hard on myself, like really, really, really hard on myself. And it was just a belief. It was a belief that served me for a time, for a season of my life, because as I always say, people are doing the best they can with the resources, tools, habits, abilities that they have at their disposal right now. Sometimes they just have crappy resources. Like my crappy resource was believing that I was a victim and damaged and broken. It worked. It was a resource. It was a tool. It was a belief system that I used to allow me to try to prove it wrong. Does it mean that it was a good belief system? It served. I don't like to think in terms of like good or bad. I like to think of terms of like it was effective for a time. Then it became not effective. Then it became very, very detrimental to being effective. So when I challenge you, and that's why I love every single person who shows up for this podcast, because you are willing to go into the arena and be challenged with your belief systems that you have, which so often can be like intertwined and intermixed with our identities. And that's not who we are. You are so much more than what you believe. You are so much more. You are so much more. Even if you believe in absolute infinite potential, because we are still bound by human minds and human bodies, the concept of absolute infinite potential, we can still be more than that. Like, what? So, not to get too esoteric on you, but I wanted to frame that so that I am just so in honor of you showing up to the challenge and rising to it and being like, yeah, game on, let's go. So let's go. The biggest thing that I have seen block anyone from achieving anything is this massive identity shift, switch, paradigm shift of wanting. Now, you may think, but Kim, you have said the most important question is to ask, what do you want? Because all is mind, and what you focus on, you feed. And so being clear on what it is that you want is very important. The thing is what it is, what you want, what you really want, like what you really want. I was talking with one of my best friends in the world, where every week Amanda Kaufman of the Coaches Plaza and I get together and we talk motherhood, business, strategy. We show each other our landing pages like absolute nerds. We show each other our processes. Oh yeah, we get real. And but we also get vulnerable and talk. And she said, Kim, like we were talking about a challenge with customers, since both of us are coaches. And I said, more and more, we've just come to realize that people do what they do and they do what they are, right? And you know, the framework of transformation is be, do, have. Like you get to have what you want when you're being the person who's doing the thing that gets you to having what it is that you want. However, the being part is the one that we get so tripped up on because we do what we are. And so a lot of times we say we want something, but actually it's what we think we want or think we should want in order to XYZ. So really, it's not that we want the thing. We are wanting to want the thing for some external reason that is outside of us. Sometimes that wanting is not aligned. So the 3 layers really to becoming is really being able to examine what is it that you want, like truly want, not what society has said you should want. Like I truly want fashion. I'm going to give you an absolute example. I love clothes. I have so much fun with clothes and I happen to like fancy things. I have always liked fancy things. I have liked fancy things since I was a little girl. And I remember my dad saying to me, he's like, Kim, like, why do you want like these like fancy? I didn't know why. I just did. Like, it wasn't that society was telling me to get a Tiffany's necklace. I just wanted Tiffany's. And that was before I adopted any shame around wanting that, which I've since rejected, of course. But that was society saying, oh, you shouldn't want that. My dad thought, oh, you shouldn't want that. Why would you want, like, he didn't understand that. And I was like, I like nice things. I like nice things. Period. End of story. Like, there was no question to it from my authentic self. Now, it wasn't me wanting to want it to have it to prove things. It was like, I really like luxury. I like being in clean environments that are just pristine. I loved the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's for years. It has since been replaced as my favorite movie by The Greatest Showman. And I will say, in hindsight, I've gone back and watched that movie and I'm like, ooh, there's some concepts in here that I don't completely agree with. But it definitely was a movie that served for a time and a season of who I was, especially back in high school. No, I was not Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's because, let's be real, she was a prostitute. High end, of course, obviously, but she was an escort. That's how she got money. So the beautiful thing, though, Breakfast at Tiffany's tangent aside, is recognizing what has served for the season. And Breakfast at Tiffany's was definitely a movie that served me for a season. And now The Greatest Showman serves me so much better. And Wonder Woman, so much better. So much more of an effective movie for where I want to go. And it's okay if your favorite movie changes, by the way. So that being said, total tangent aside, the thing that you want resonates with who you are. It may be what you want for a season. It may not be a complete lifetime. But also being really honest with yourself and asking, is this something that I'm wanting to want for the external validation and proof outside of me? So if all the popular kids in school were wearing Tiffany's and I wanted to want it because that was what I felt like I quote unquote should be doing, that's not really wanting it. That's not really wanting it. Unless my value, because we make decisions based on our subconscious values, was becoming popular and fitting in, which it wasn't. Still really isn't. I'd much rather belong. Big difference. The concept of wanting to want, and you'll see the wanting to want play out in life all the time. When you start looking for it and you're like, is that person really wanting what they're wanting, or are they wanting to want it? So this comes from like the person, let's use the gym, for example, because it's a phenomenal example. The person who wants to get fit. They're like, yeah, I really want to get fit. Okay. What are you doing to get fit? Yeah, I want to get fit. I'll commit to that later. Like right now I'm doing something. Okay. And you'll hear the excuses of why they're not actually doing it. They want to be fit, but they're really wanting to want to be fit, because if they really wanted to be fit, they would go to the gym. Like, that would be a piece. So they would actually be taking the tactile step in the 3-dimensional realm, in the physical realm, to do the thing. Let's say, for example, you want more money. So many people want to want more money. And yet when it comes down to actually wanting more money, and you say, okay, well, here's A, B, and C that you need to do. You need to go out and you need to make offers. You need to go out and have conversations, uncomfortable conversations, sometimes maybe, but sales conversations. You need to, or investment conversations or capital conversation, whatever form of, you need to do the doing that in some way asks for money from someone. Maybe it's maybe you get a side job. Maybe you get, do some extra like Uber driving or TaskRabbit things on the side. Or maybe you sell some stuff on eBay. That is actually wanting to make more money, because you are actually doing the thing that you say you want, which is you want to make more money. So you do something that actually helps you procure more money in some way, shape, or form. Wanting to want to make more money is the person who says, yeah, I really want to make more money this year. Okay, here's a suggestion of how you can make more money. Go out and make more offers. I don't really feel if they're aligned. I don't know. Put yourself out on social media. Make some offers there. I don't know. I think I need to like work on it a little more. Oh, so you don't really want to make more money. You want to be in your comfort zone. That's fine too. But let's be honest about what you really want. You want to be in your comfort zone and not put yourself out there. Okay, that's okay. Let's just be real. So the same is true with exercise. The same is true with wanting to be more present with your kids. Like wanting to be more present with your kids means you sit down with the agenda, you look at like where can you take some things off your plate or inject a little bit more time with your kids so that you're actively playing or doing something with them. That is actually wanting it because you're actually doing the thing. Wanting to want is living in the like, I'd like to have the thing that's outside of me, but I don't really feel like taking the action. So you feel like you want to do it, but you're wanting to want to do it. So you're continuing to perpetuate the cycle of doing what you are, which is the person who doesn't have money or the person who doesn't have that great body or the person who's not present as a parent. So check yourself with every goal that you have set. And I will be very honest with you with this one. In 2017, I hired a business coach to work with me. I joined her group coaching program. I wanted to be a part of a community. And in this community, everyone was saying their affirmations and saying their big money goals. And I was like, about 2 years officially into business after I decided to turn pro after that whole year and a half of making no money to like a whopping $100 in my business. Oh yeah, I found out later. I was like, I looked back on my records. I was like, I actually made $100. So yes, in 2017, I started working in this business program and I thought, okay, my coach had made $1 million in a year. I thought, well, I could too. I had just had a baby. Well, like I hadn't just had a baby, but I was like 8 months pregnant into becoming a mother for the first time. Yeah. Ambitious goals are kind of a thing with me. And I didn't realize for me the level of personal development that motherhood would throw me into and the unhealed shadows that I would be needing to deal with regarding my own projections and my experience as a new mom and my experience, especially with Declan and so many of the fears that came up literally 3 days after he was born, when he received a diagnosis that terrified me. And since, of course, done a lot of healing around that, rejected it, and he's totally fine. And at the same time, I have to honor that time that I went through. And yet I was in this business coaching program and everybody was hitting their like big goals and they're like, say your affirmations with your big goals and what you're achieving. And I was like, I'm going to achieve $1 million in the next year. Bullshit. Calling bullshit absolutely on myself. Why? I wasn't personally developed enough to retain that, receive that, have that, experience that. I was not there. Had I received $1 million in my business, it would have been like getting hit by lightning and it would not have been a pretty sight. I wouldn't have known how to manage it. Wouldn't have been pretty for my mental health. So a lot of times your goal of what you want to achieve is maybe a not yet, simply because your personal development of who you're embodying is not yet there. But I wanted to want to be a millionaire. I wanted to want to have $1 million in a year in my business. However, I was going from like zero to like practically zero or $100. Actually, by then I was actually making thousands of dollars a month in coaching. But at the same time, going from thousands of dollars a month to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to $1 million a year, that leap was not going to happen in that first year of being a new mom because of the challenges that I was facing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even as a new mother. And I recognize in hindsight how much I wanted to want that, but I wasn't really embodying that. I wasn't showing up consistently. I wasn't consistently making offers. I wasn't putting myself out there. I wasn't raising my prices. I wasn't doing all the things that it takes to have $1 million a year. I wasn't setting up SOPs. I wasn't setting up processes. I was delegating tasks to my team, but never really having full-fledged projects of like step-by-steps of full standard operating procedures, etc. So I was wanting to do that, but I wasn't really wanting because I wasn't actually embodying the things that needed to be done in order to do that. which comes to the third level of becoming. So you have wanting to want. You have wanting means you're actively doing the doing. Now, the difference between this second level of actually wanting, meaning you're actually doing the doing, and the embodying is the mental realm, the mental and emotional realm. Because the wanting means you're doing the tasks, but sometimes the things that you're doing are maybe habitual, maybe they're what you think you should be doing, but they're not necessarily intuitively guided. And what this kind of looks like, just to bring it into a tangible example, is you are in the gym, and I'm sure you've seen these people, and you may see them regularly, like if you go to the gym on a regular basis, and you see them every day, and they're doing the same damn thing. They're doing the elliptical, or they're doing, the bike, and they're on it, or they're doing the machines, and they're doing the same machines. But literally, you're seeing them day after day, month after month, and you're not seeing any transformation or any movement. They're just maybe maintenance, but not actually seeing an active transformation. And if you want to go for any goal, whether it's transforming your body, your money, your business, your health, your relationship with your kids, etc., it will involve the act of complete transformation from the inside out. So the doing of the doing can transform you. Yes, it can. Absolutely. So by doing the doing of making more offers, that can be the piece that is actually doing the thing that's creating the transformation. You get into the fire and you do the thing that scares you. So for example, the people who say they want to lose weight, but they go to the gym and they do the same thing over and over and over and over and don't see results, they're not really doing anything that involves, here's the key component of embodiment, courage. Courage. Any next level, anything that you want to do will require you to do something that will require courage. Maybe it will require you to push a little harder on the treadmill. Maybe instead of like at a level 8 resistance or a level 4 resistance, you shift it up to a level 8 or a level 12. And so you challenge yourself. You will have to challenge yourself in some way. The embodiment principle of becoming and moving from wanting to want to wanting to actually embodying the person is that you are actively facing the discomfort, getting into the kiln of being transformed so that clay of who you have been is molded into a pot, and it is a completely different entity than soft, porous clay. It is a physiological change on a cellular level. The embodiment comes from choosing to be in an active state of blissful discomfort, as Ed Milet calls it. And that embodiment piece comes from asking yourself different questions of how would my future self or sovereign self think of this? How would my sovereign self think of this experience? How would my sovereign self think of my body when I have the body that I desire to have? So thus you're doing actions not based on what you think you should be doing to achieve XYZ goal, but the key of embodiment is that you're operating and embodying the principles that your future sovereign self already lives because that's already who they be. So the choices, decisions, things that you do on a daily basis are either done differently, you're doing completely different things, or you are doing them from a completely different belief system and state energetically. If you're going on a treadmill day after day after day after day, seeing no results, but that's just what you're doing, and you're just doing what you're doing to try to get that result, then you're always going to be in that space of wanting to get that result, versus if you go from the space of how does my highest, most sovereign self operate and think about her body and exercise and movement, you'll get an entirely different answer. The same is true with your business. How does a 6, 7, 8-figure business owner think about her business? How does she think about her empire differently? How does she interact with people? How many people does she interact with per day? Because I guarantee you, if you're constantly doing of like responding to comments, responding to messages, etc., and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have so many comments. Oh my gosh, I have so many messages. you're never going to get to the place where your future self is, where they constantly are responding to messages, or maybe they have an assistant or someone else who's responding as well in their community or on their team who's responding, simply because you have so many messages. And if you want to get to a bigger platform, then the story that you're telling yourself as you're doing the thing that you're doing of like, oh my gosh, I have so many people to respond to, and how do I get back to all these people all the time? Then you're telling your unconscious mind that you're already capped. So it's preventing you from actually expanding into that which you actually want, which is the embodiment principle of the next level, where you think of, how does my sovereign CEO self think of responding? Does she respond with the same level of urgency? Does she respond to every comment? Does she give everyone her time, or does she just drop an emoji from time to time instead of giving some long, detailed response to somebody who may not value that insight or input? So being able to discern from that space, think of how she is making decisions, he is making decisions, that most sovereign self is making decisions, and then you work backward from there, embodying the principles of how they do, what they're doing, and why they're doing what they're doing, from the place that it's already yours. That is how you change, going from wanting to wanting to having, doing, and being the version of you who already has, does, and is the thing that you desire to be, do, and have. With that, I hope you love this episode, and it is my intention that this message of transformation is able to ripple into the world. And if you've listened this far, then I know that you are on board with this. You have accepted the challenge, and I hope it's not a strategy. So I'm going to be really clear and candid with my communication in this. I want you to share this with just one person who you feel could benefit from this message. Most podcasts are expanded and grown simply because one person refers to some other person. And that is what I deeply desire as we grow this podcast to reach more and more humans. I am so honored to be on this journey of transformation with you as we all are rising into our most sovereign selves. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you, hear you, be with you, hang out with you on the next episode.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If what you heard resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and start creating a bigger impact now by sharing this with a friend. Just by doing that one simple act of kindness, you are creating a royal ripple to support more people in their sovereignty. And if you're not already following on social media, connect with me everywhere at crownyourself.now for more inspiration. I am so excited to connect with you in the next episode. And in the meantime, go out there and create a body, business, and life that rules. Because today, you crown yourself.